I'm going to go ahead and proceed here to 837, which is close for us. We're going to go ahead and land. We've got gas. We want to keep that just in case we need it. So we want to glide. We're going to glide to that base that's over there that you can see in the distance. That should be 37. It is. He's not going anywhere as long as he doesn't bail out. Or she, whatever the hell Sandy is. You know, I don't want to assume anybody's gender. You know,
the base is under attack.
But anyway, so we're going to coast to this base here. We're going to save our little bit of fuel for when we get down low if we mess up. And so what you saw there was that it's obviously come over the top, line up, and I'm allowing the target to kind of pass through my gun sight. I'm putting myself where I want the target to be. Obviously, if the target maneuvers or does something like that, then I'm going to have to maneuver to put myself back in front. But essentially, it's much like using yourself as a bullet. Instead of I'm throwing lead at the target to shoot it, I'm placing myself to where the target's going to be so that I can then achieve a gun solution, if that makes any sense to you. And so now we come into the next deal, which is a dead stick landing. This should be fairly basic, gliding from altitude with good control surfaces, but you've lost your engine, oil head, or something like that. The 163, this is how you're going to make all your landings, so get ready. If you crash, you lose 100 points. But I have tons of fighter points, so it doesn't matter if I do lose it. But I don't want to lose it. I definitely don't want him making a kill. The guy never even shot at me. A lot of times, bomber pilots, if they're not paying attention, especially if they're in the scope, they'll hear the hits, and they'll think it's Puffyak hitting them, because it'll make almost the same sounds. So we're lined up here, we're taking a look at it, and what we'd like to do is make us a nice little loop, and then hook back in to the base using the airspeed that we have left. We have around 300 miles an hour. And so what we're going to use is we're going to transfer this energy, this altitude that we have, into some more airspeed in a kind of gradual turn here. Well, 300 miles an hour. We don't want to bleed it off too much because we'd like it to make it to the airport. And you have to remember that if you need this engine, you have to spool it up before you actually need it. So I'm going to go ahead and start deploying some flaps. And I'm going to execute some rolls here. Now, this isn't what you do in real life, obviously, with wind and everything else. But I'm fairly confident that I'm in the right position, and I've made enough landings that I'm fairly confident with this. I'm going to go ahead and deploy my gear because it's just a skid on the other side of the aircraft. We're going to kind of rudder the nose back into the direction of the runway. We still have 100 miles an hour. We're going to get the nose down because we're bleeding a little bit too much speed. And we're going to go ahead and get it down here to the target, or to the runway. And we'll keep the nose down, and now we're going to start a light flare, just allowing that back pressure off of there. And grind it on. At low speed, the wing will dip. That's natural. So we're going to go ahead and land. And now we're going to take off again. But we got to do it from fucking 41 because whatever reason. Now, obviously, if E&Y is bad, meaning that you have more players than one of the enemy teams, you won't be able to take this off because it's too good, which makes absolutely zero sense to me, but that's what high-tech does, so that's what high-tech does. So we're going to take off again, being aware that there is a fucking building at the end of the fucking runway. So we're going to get our airspeed up here. We're at 150 miles an hour. We're going to slight pressure there. Get rid of our little undercarriage and retract our skid. And I imagine that guy probably bailed out, which is fucking stupid, but regardless. So we're going to proceed to attack this next person that's flying over 837. They're probably just coming in here and making a hook, attacking those two targets and then leaving. They might be heading to headquarters. You never know, but you need a lot of ordnance to take a headquarters out, and it's kind of that's all you're going to bombs. If you miss it, you're boned. And by boned, I mean fucked. If you didn't know. Anyhow, so we're going to proceed onward here. We're pretty much nose on. We're going to get us some airspeed. Watching the terrain below us here. And we're going to go ahead and start a climb. You got to watch this little guy because it'll want to like right now, it's doing 400 miles an hour, and for some reason it thinks it needs 700 miles an hour in order to start climbing, which is completely ridiculous. So we're going to go ahead and just hold some back pressure here on the stick at about 400 miles an hour and proceed to climb. and we're gonna get rid of the map. We're gonna focus on just our airspeed down there. We're gonna keep it around 400. We're gonna continue to climb. As you can see, the gauge is just off the charts. I mean, we're at almost 10,000 feet right now. We're still doing 350 miles an hour and are progressing rapidly. So if we need a little more airspeed, then we just push forward a little bit on the stick to kind of drop the nose. We'll slow our rate of ascent, not descent, but ascent. And we're going to increase the speed here. And we're going to kind of angle in because I know that the guy's out in front of me here attacking over this base that I just landed at. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and see what his progress is. He's taking out radar, which is a smart thing to do. Usually means he's not going to have lined up on some other targets, but anyhow, so we're gonna go ahead and continue our climb. So we're currently at 14,000, 15,000, 16. Now you're probably going, Voodoo, what are you talking about with the wind? Well, at every 1,000 to 5,000 foot increment, I think it's 5,000 foot increments, there is a wind that will shift from one direction to the other, which is kind of crazy, but that's something that adds in a little more, adds some shit to the game, as you would say. And it kind of makes it wonky when you've only got a pair of 30s right here in the nose, and they shoot out there in front of you. They're powerful, as you saw. We took out a Lancaster. My shooting is not what it was. Okay, we're kind of out of position here, which is not what I want to do. So I want to locate these bombers. We're kind of getting shoved over to the right. Go ahead and get to 30,000 feet, and then we're going to level out, and we're going to cut the engine off, because you can see as we're starting to buff it, and it's starting to kind of shake. We're going to move up here in our seat. We're going to start scanning. If you have surround sound headsets, like I do, then a lot of times when you shut the engine off, you'll hear the engines, like you heard the engine on the Lancaster since I was closing with it. And so a lot of times you'll actually hear the aircraft before you see it. And my screen is absolutely filthy, but I should be able to detect a dot. I'd imagine he's making a hook through here and then moving towards that city to go bomb it, because it looks like there's several of them doing the same MO, the same pattern. So we're going to go ahead and level out. We're going to go ahead and crank the engine back up, and we're going to haul ass to this city as quick as we can so we have a little more time on target. But we're close enough to 837 with 30,000 foot of altitude, which is probably what this guy is at. We should be able to have plenty of times on target. If you're attacking a Lancaster, the worst place to be attacking is from the high 6, unless he's, or from the 6 o'clock period, unless he is in the scope, you think, or maybe got a gunner, which is very seldom that these guys are going to fly all the way over here with a gunner or something, but it can happen. Like leaning and shit. But like other folks have asked me, Voodoo, why don't you use your track R and stuff? I personally don't like using it. It's not fast enough when I want to look around, because like if I really went over my shoulder and looked, I would really want to look. And with this one, I had to like turn like this and like look at the screen. It's ridiculous. It messes with me. Oh look, bomber's at us. Okay, so we're at 30,000 feet. He's up here with us. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna power up again. And we're gonna go ahead and start setting ourselves up for an attack pattern here. So we're gonna go ahead and just sit up, kind of in the aircraft here. We're gonna go ahead and get up to 35,000. 35,000 should give you more than enough altitude without getting into that almost compression type thing to attack your target. So he's currently making a turn coming back to the city. So we're at 36. We're going to shut the engine off. We're going to head and start setting up for an attack. And a lot of times you'll see pictures and the Germans will be attacking like this, inverted, and it's so that you can keep an eye on the target all the way through. let's relocate our quarry here since we were typing. Now we hear the act popping ahead of us. And there they are. We've located them again. B-17s, which are dangerous. I really do. I really have no desire for the most part to be in here. Really, the only reason I'm in here is because you guys wanted to see this, and so I'm doing it, you know. It's just kind of where the game's at right now. You know, I don't know how long. Hopefully it'll last forever, but you never can tell. So these B-17s are either waiting on me to attack them, or they're moving to a new target. Odds are they're waiting on me to attack them so they can shoot me down. We're going to jet past them though, and we're going to make a good beam attack with the engine on, because we want to be moving as quickly as we possibly can. And you can be sure that this guy is waiting on me to make an attack. So we want to make an attack, but we want to be on control of the aircraft. So we're at 500 miles an hour. At 550, this aircraft starts to buff it, and we don't really have control of it. We're going to go ahead, since we're at 550 miles an hour right now, we're going to go ahead and see if we can... I made a mistake there and was moving away too much. We're going to jet the engine. Jet the engine. And kind of get out ahead of them, but now we're on level with them, which is good. When you're on the same level with them, making a beam attack, which is from the 3 or 9 o'clock position, if you've read Shaw's book, Fighter Combat. If you hadn't, it's a pretty good read, but he flew jets. He never flew prop-driven aircraft, so it's kind of hard to apply his teachings to the game. But what we want to do is, this engagement I think will be the hardest for the bomber to make, especially if you can bring it on around and attack from like the 11 o'clock position. He's currently turning into us, which is cool. I'm not really concerned with that. He starts to close the distance faster because we're so quick. We really only will get a profile shot on him. We're going to kind of dip under his guns here, and then I misjudged because of my shooting. Or misjudged because of the black out there. That looks to be another set of bombers. Easy there, Honda. What the hell is wrong with you? It is another set of bombers. So we're going to go ahead and change it up. We're going to go ahead and attack from up high again, like we were doing before. We're at 300 miles an hour, so we're going to go ahead and come on in. But we're going to shoot for the drone instead of... which didn't really work very well. Those are B-24s. They are much juicier targets. So we're going to go ahead and proceed upward. We're going to set up for an attack on these B-24s coming through the same area. B-24s are still dangerous, so don't believe that they aren't because they're easier to shoot down, but they do burn easier, so... We're going to try the old German tactic here. We'll roll inverted here. I think that was good. Oh, it was a hit, but it wasn't the hit that we wanted. What we want to do is when we're shooting, we want to hit the wing roots between the number 2 and number 3 engine and the fuselage. And that's going to be your highest percentage for a fire with the B-24. What we did cause him to do is maneuver, which is good. And we're in another position to go ahead and make another attack run here, which is always pretty good. We did set that one on fire, and we still got 9 cannon rounds, which is good. SE Eagle, Mr. Man. Oh no. No, sir, we're not having none of that. Nope, 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 nope. Nope, nope, nope. Alright, so, oh, I'm out of fuel. Alright, so we're going to make one more pass here. We're at altitude. And that just shows you got to watch your fuel state here. So we're going to make one more attempt through the target here. We burned our cannon again, but we haven't gotten shot down, which is always good. We've achieved a kill without dying, so that's good to me. And I suck with 30 millimeters, so you know that's always impressive.